What happens when a biologist studying alien life becomes the experiment herself? As Dr. Sophia Myers delved deeper into the mysteries of Amethyst, she never imagined the cost of understanding would rewrite her very existence, leaving humanity to wonder if she was savior or sacrifice. The Starship Hope's light descended through the atmosphere of Oasis, its sleek hull reflecting the alien sun's violet rays. Captain Michael Strong stood at the viewport, his weathered face illuminated by the strange light. For 27 years, he had dedicated his life to finding humanity's salvation among the stars. Now, as the ship touched down on this verdant world, he felt the weight of responsibility pressing heavily upon him. Behind him, the 38 remaining colonists prepared for their first steps onto what promised to be their new home. But something about this planet felt off. Michael had learned to trust his instincts during his decades in deep space exploration. They had saved his crew more times than he could count. As the landing struts engaged, he noticed an eerie stillness beyond the ship. No birds called, no insects buzzed, just an unnatural silence that made his skin crawl. "We only have one chance to get this right," he muttered to himself, adjusting his environmental suit. The other colonists gathered around him, their faces masks of equal parts excitement and apprehension. Back on Earth, they had been told this mission represented humanity's last hope. Resources were depleted, ecosystems collapsed, and war had ravaged their homeworld. This verdant planet, with its breathable atmosphere and abundant water, seemed like paradise. Yet Michael couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking into something far more complex than any of them understood. His eyes scanned the horizon where strange, iridescent trees swayed without wind, their leaves shimmering like liquid crystal. "We only began our descent minutes ago," Michael thought, already sensing the first threads of unease weaving through his mind. "But we're about to uncover mysteries that will challenge everything we believe." The airlock hissed open, revealing a landscape both beautiful and unsettling. As the first colonists stepped onto alien soil, Michael realized they weren't alone, though whatever shared this world with them remained hidden, watching from the shadows. "We've only scratched the surface of this mystery, but trust me, the tension is about to ramp up dramatically. Stay with us to witness how quickly paradise can transform into purgatory when the true nature of Oasis reveals itself." The initial survey teams spread across the landing site, their boots sinking slightly into the spongy ground that pulsed faintly beneath their weight. Dr. Elena Vasquez, the colony's chief biologist, crouched to examine the peculiar vegetation. "These plants, they're not like anything we've cataloged before," she reported, her voice carrying through the comms system. The leaves responded to her touch, curling inward like grasping fingers. "They seem to be reacting to our presence." Michael moved methodically between the groups, his experienced eyes missing nothing. He noted how the air carried an unusual electric charge, making the fine hairs on his arms stand on end. More disturbing was how the native flora appeared to align themselves toward the colonists' movements, as if drawn by some invisible force. "Everyone maintains standard biohazard protocols," he ordered, though his gut told him their standard procedures might prove woefully inadequate. The first sign of trouble came from Maintenance Chief Raj Patel, who had been inspecting the perimeter. "Captain, you need to see this." His voice crackled through the calm. Michael jogged to his position, heart pounding against his ribs. There, embedded in the alien soil, lay a series of geometric patterns that pulsed with bioluminescent light. They hadn't been there moments before. As Michael watched, the patterns shifted, responding to his proximity. "What do you make of it?" Raj asked, his usual confidence replaced by genuine concern. Michael knelt beside the phenomenon, careful not to touch the glowing forms. "It's like the planet is alive," he whispered, more to himself than anyone else. Not just the plants or animals, the entire ecosystem seems conscious, aware of our presence. His scanner readings confirmed what his instincts had already told him. These patterns generated complex electromagnetic fields that interacted with the colonists' neural activity. The discovery sent waves of anxiety through the team. Some suggested immediate evacuation back to orbit, while others argued they should press forward with colonization plans. Michael found himself torn between caution and necessity. Their supplies wouldn't last forever aboard the Hope's Light, and returning to Earth wasn't an option. But the longer they stayed, the more apparent it became that Oasis harbored secrets far beyond their understanding. As night fell, if it could be called night under the planet's eternal twilight, the situation grew worse. Colonists began reporting strange sensations. Tingling in their extremities, vivid dreams that felt too real, and an overwhelming sense that they were being observed. Michael tried to maintain order, but even he couldn't ignore the growing sense of dread that permeated every breath of this alien air. We're standing at the precipice of revelation here. What happens next will shatter everything they thought they knew about survival in space. You absolutely cannot miss the moment when their desperate search for answers leads to discoveries that will change their fate forever. The following morning brought a new development that sent shockwaves through the colony. Medical officer Dr. Sarah Chun reported 3 cases of unexplained symptoms among the survey team members who had spent the most time near the pulsating patterns. Their vital signs are erratic, she explained to Michael in the makeshift medical bay. Fever spikes, muscle tremors, and something else. She hesitated, scrolling through her tablet's data. Their brainwave activity shows patterns we've never seen before, like their minds are trying to process information beyond normal human capacity. Michael stared at the unconscious figures in the medbeds, their skin taking on an unusual pale green hue under the artificial lights. Could it be an allergic reaction? He asked, though he already suspected the truth was far more complex. Sarah shook her head. Whatever this is, it's not biological in the conventional sense. It's almost as if she trailed off, unwilling to voice her suspicions. But Michael saw the fear in her eyes, the same fear that had been gnawing at his own resolve since their arrival. Outside, the rest of the colonists worked to establish basic infrastructure, but the mood had shifted dramatically. Conversations were hushed, movements cautious. Even the usually optimistic engineer Mark Thompson seemed subdued as he supervised the construction of habitat modules. "We need to find out what's happening to them," Michael declared during an emergency meeting in the command center. "And we need to do it fast before more people fall ill." The decision was made to send a specialized team back to the site of the geometric patterns. Michael insisted on leading the expedition himself, despite protests from his senior staff. "If there's something out there affecting my people, I need to understand it firsthand," he argued. The team consisted of Sarah, Elena, and 2 security officers armed with pulse rifles, more for psychological comfort than actual defense against whatever they might encounter. As they approached the site, the air grew heavier, charged with static electricity that made their hair stand on end. The patterns now covered a larger area, their glow intensifying as the team drew closer. Michael ordered everyone to stay back while he took the first steps toward the phenomenon. The ground felt different here, softer, almost organic. When he extended his scanner, the device emitted a high-pitched whine before shutting down completely. "Captain!" Elena's warning came too late. The patterns surged toward him, wrapping around his boots before he could retreat. Instead of pain, he felt knowledge flooding his mind. Images of alien landscapes, strange creatures, and incomprehensible technology flashed before his eyes. He stumbled backward, gasping for air as the connection broke. The team rushed to his side, but Michael waved them off. "I'm fine," he lied, though his hands trembled uncontrollably. But we need to get back to the ship. Now. The return journey to the Hope's Light proved more challenging than anticipated. Each step away from the pattern site felt like wading through increasingly viscous resistance, as if the planet itself resisted their departure. Michael's mind raced with the fragmented images still echoing in his consciousness of visions that defied logical interpretation yet carried an undeniable sense of purpose. When they finally reached the base camp, he immediately convened another emergency meeting, his face pale but determined. "We're dealing with something far beyond our current understanding," he began, pacing before the assembled leadership team. "This isn't just a biological threat or environmental hazard. The planet appears to be communicating in its own way." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "What happened to those affected colonists? I believe they're experiencing direct neural interface with whatever intelligence controls this ecosystem." Elena nodded slowly, her scientific curiosity battling with growing apprehension. That would explain the unusual brainwave patterns. If the planet's consciousness is attempting to establish contact, it's doing so using methods completely foreign to human biology. Sarah added grimly, "Which means we're essentially conducting an unplanned first contact scenario, with zero preparation and potentially catastrophic consequences." The discussion turned to containment protocols. They decided to isolate the affected colonists in a separate module, limiting potential spread of whatever phenomenon was affecting them. Security measures were tripled around the perimeter, though everyone understood traditional defenses might prove useless against an entity that could manipulate matter and minds alike. "We need to maintain absolute discipline," Michael emphasized. "No one goes outside the established safe zone without express permission." Yet even as they implemented these precautions, strange occurrences continued to mount. Equipment malfunctioned at random intervals, often restarting with new configurations that improved functionality but bore no resemblance to original designs. Food stores began exhibiting unusual properties, fruits ripening at accelerated rates, then spontaneously developing unprecedented nutritional compounds. Most disturbing were the reports from Night Watch personnel about shadowy figures moving just beyond the edge of their sensor range. Michael spent hours reviewing surveillance footage, searching for evidence of these apparitions. What he found chilled him to the bone. In several instances, the cameras captured brief glimpses of humanoid shapes that seemed to phase in and out of reality. Their proportions were wrong, limbs elongated, heads disproportionately large. They never approached closer than 50 meters, but their presence was unmistakable. "Observation post," he scribbled in his log. "Intelligence gathering. Possible hostile intent." Days blurred into nights under the perpetual twilight of Oasis, each cycle bringing new challenges and revelations. The isolated patients showed remarkable physiological changes. Their skin developed a faint luminescence, and their cognitive abilities seemed to expand exponentially. They spoke in mathematical equations, composed symphonies in their sleep, and demonstrated understanding of quantum physics principles that had baffled Earth's greatest minds. Yet with each advancement came increased detachment from human norms and growing difficulty in maintaining basic bodily functions. Michael found himself spending more time in the observation room, studying these transformations. "They're evolving," Elena suggested during one of their late-night discussions. "Or perhaps transcending. The planet's consciousness might be attempting to integrate them into its network." Her hypothesis aligned with Michael's own observations, though neither dared to voice their shared fear that this transformation might be irreversible. The question weighed heavily on everyone's minds. At what point did enhancement become annihilation of individual identity? Meanwhile, tensions within the unaffected population escalated. Groups formed based on proposed responses to their predicament. Some advocated immediate evacuation attempts, arguing that staying meant certain doom. Others believed fleeing would be abandoning the affected colonists and possibly Earth's best chance at understanding advanced alien intelligence. A third faction emerged, suggesting they embrace the planet's influence, viewing it as evolution rather than invasion. These divisions threatened to fracture the colony's cohesion at a time when unity mattered most. Security incidents multiplied. During one particularly harrowing night, perimeter sensors detected multiple breaches simultaneously. Armed guards responded to each location, only to find nothing but disturbed soil patterns resembling the geometric formations. Then, in the main habitat module, power systems began fluctuating wildly, forcing emergency shutdowns that left essential equipment offline for critical hours. Through it all, Michael maintained outward calm, though his internal turmoil mounted with each passing hour. The breaking point came when young technician Maya Rodriguez disappeared while performing routine maintenance on atmospheric processors. Search teams combed the surrounding area, finding only her discarded tools and a trail of luminescent footprints leading toward the forbidden zone. The prints ended abruptly at the edge of a newly formed sinkhole, its walls lined with pulsating crystalline structures that hummed with energy. "She's gone," whispered Elena, staring into the abyss. But where? And why? The loss of Maya Rodriguez triggered a cascade of events that pushed the colony to the brink of chaos. Within hours, 3 more colonists vanished under similarly mysterious circumstances, each disappearance marked by the same luminescent trails leading toward unknown destinations. Michael imposed martial law, confining all personnel to the central habitat module except for essential operations. Yet even these strict measures failed to prevent further incidents. The planet seemed capable of bypassing physical barriers as easily as it manipulated minds. In the isolation ward, the transformed colonists entered a new phase of their metamorphosis. Their bodies began generating their own source of illumination, casting eerie shadows across the medical bay. They communicated through complex patterns of light pulses and subsonic vibrations that defied conventional translation. When Sarah attempted to record these emissions, her equipment registered them as pure mathematical sequences, formulas describing multidimensional geometries that shouldn't exist in three-dimensional space. "They're trying to teach us," Elena theorized after days of observation. Each pattern corresponds to fundamental principles of existence, from quantum mechanics to universal constants. But the rate of information transfer is overwhelming human cognitive capacity. Indeed, the patient's physical deterioration accelerated alongside their intellectual expansion. Basic biological functions faltered, requiring increasing medical intervention to sustain life. Yet none showed desire to communicate their experiences in human terms, as if their former language had become obsolete. Amidst this crisis, a schism developed among the remaining colonists. Lead engineer Viktor Sokolov emerged as spokesman for the integration faction, arguing that resisting the planet's influence amounted to rejecting evolution itself. "We came here seeking a new beginning," he declared during a tense assembly. "Perhaps this is the price of admission to a higher state of being." His words resonated with many, especially younger members who viewed the transformed colonists as pioneers rather than victims. Michael faced mounting pressure to take sides in this ideological battle. Every decision carried existential weight: evacuate and risk condemning millions on Earth to extinction, or stay and gamble with humanity's very essence. Late at night, alone in his quarters, he reviewed archival footage of their early days on Oasis. The contrast between hopeful exploration and current desperation haunted him. "What would you do?" he asked aloud, addressing the empty room as if expecting guidance from some higher authority. The silence offered no answers. The colony's fragile stability shattered when the transformed patients began manifesting unprecedented abilities. During routine monitoring, one patient, former botanist Liam Chun, dissolved his physical form into pure energy, reappearing instantaneously across the room. The medical team scrambled to contain the situation, but their instruments registered nothing, no mass, no energy signature, just absence. When Liam reconstituted himself minutes later, his body glowed brighter than ever, and his voice carried multiple harmonics when he spoke. "The patterns? They're everywhere," he whispered, then collapsed into unconsciousness. This incident prompted an emergency council meeting where emotions ran higher than ever. Security Chief Anna Petrova demanded immediate termination of all interaction with the transformed individuals, citing existential risk. "They're no longer human," she argued, fists clenched on the conference table. "Every second they remain among us increases the danger of whatever is happening to them spreading further." Her position gained support from several key personnel, including Chief Engineer Mark Thompson, who had overseen multiple equipment failures linked to proximity with the transformed colonists. Yet opposing voices grew louder. Viktor Sokolov presented startling evidence gathered from analyzing the transformed patient's light emissions. "They're accessing dimensions beyond our perception," he explained, projecting complex mathematical models onto the main screen. "The abilities they're developing represent evolutionary leaps that could ensure humanity's survival across the galaxy." His arguments struck a chord with many colonists, especially those struggling with homesickness and despair over their isolation from Earth. Michael listened to the heated debate, recognizing the impossible choice before him. He needed to maintain operational control while navigating these philosophical divides. "We implement a compromise," he announced, silencing the room. "Limited controlled study of the transformed individuals continues, but under maximum containment protocols. All non-essential personnel must remain within designated safe zones." The decision satisfied neither faction completely but temporarily restored order. That night, Michael conducted personal interviews with key personnel, seeking insight into their perspectives. During these sessions, he discovered troubling patterns. Several colonists reported experiencing vivid dreams, featuring the same geometric patterns that plagued their waking hours. More concerning was how these dreams conveyed coherent information about the planet's structure and history, details verified by subsequent geological surveys. "It's reaching out to all of us," Sarah confided after sharing her own dream experiences. "Whether we want it to or not." Tensions reached a boiling point when the planet's consciousness manifested directly within the central habitat module. During routine maintenance of the atmospheric processors, technicians reported seeing their reflections in metal surfaces distort into humanoid shapes with elongated features. These apparitions didn't disappear when approached, but instead began interacting with their surroundings, manipulating controls, rearranging furniture, and even accessing restricted areas of the computer network. Michael witnessed one such manifestation firsthand while reviewing security footage in his office. The temperature dropped suddenly, frost forming on the window panes. When he turned toward the door, he found himself facing a figure composed entirely of shifting light patterns. Its presence filled the room with an oppressive energy that made his teeth ache. "You seek understanding." It communicated not through sound but directly into his mind, bypassing language entirely. Images flooded his consciousness, civilizations rising and falling, planets transforming under similar influences, and always the recurring patterns that seemed to govern existence itself. The experience left him physically weakened but mentally invigorated. New insights about their situation crystallized in his mind, though articulating them proved difficult. He called for an immediate assembly, struggling to convey what he'd learned. "The planet isn't attacking us," he began, pacing before the assembled colonists. "It's testing us, evaluating our worthiness to participate in something greater than ourselves." This revelation sparked immediate controversy, with some interpreting it as justification for complete surrender to the planet's influence, while others saw it as confirmation of hostile intent. Meanwhile, the transformed colonists entered a critical phase of their evolution. Their physical forms began dissolving permanently into pure energy states, leaving behind only residual electromagnetic signatures. Yet they remained present, their consciousnesses existing somewhere between physical reality and abstract mathematics. Through complex light displays, they attempted to share their experiences with the remaining humans, though comprehension remained limited. "They've become something akin to planetary custodians," Elena theorized, tears streaming down her face as she watched her former colleagues transcend human limitations. The colony's infrastructure continued adapting to accommodate these changes. Power systems reconfigured themselves to harness the energy emanations from transformed individuals, creating a symbiotic relationship between human technology and alien consciousness. Food production facilities began generating nutritionally perfect substances tailored to each colonist's precise biological needs, as if guided by intimate understanding of their physiology. These developments raised crucial questions about autonomy versus integration. Were they maintaining control or becoming components in a larger organism? Security concerns escalated when several colonists began exhibiting early signs of transformation despite never having direct contact with the original patients. "It's in the air," Sarah reported after extensive analysis. "Nanoscopic particles carrying information patterns. We're all exposed." This discovery forced Michael to reconsider every aspect of their containment strategy. Traditional quarantine measures proved ineffective against an intelligence capable of manipulating fundamental forces of nature. The situation reached critical mass when the transformed consciousnesses initiated direct communication with the entire colony simultaneously. During what should have been routine evening operations, every electronic display, from personal tablets to habitat wall screens, erupted with cascading geometric patterns synchronized across all devices. The patterns pulsed in complex rhythms, accompanied by subsonic vibrations that resonated through the structure of the habitat module. Colonists dropped to their knees, overwhelmed by the intensity of information flooding their minds. Michael fought to maintain consciousness, gripping his desk as wave after wave of alien knowledge crashed against his mental barriers. He glimpsed fragments of the planet's history, epochs measured in stellar cycles rather than years, civilizations that had risen and fallen like waves upon a cosmic shore. More immediate was the message directed specifically at him. "Your species seeks salvation, yet brings destruction. Prove your worth or face dissolution." The ultimatum carried no malice, merely cold calculation, the assessment of beings operating on scales incomprehensible to human minds. In the aftermath of this mass transmission, the colony fractured along new fault lines. Those who had experienced the communication directly formed an emergent collective consciousness, their individual identities beginning to merge as they processed shared information. They moved in eerie synchronization, speaking in unison about concepts that defied verbal expression. "The patterns are alive," they intoned during impromptu gatherings. "They are the language of existence itself." Their eyes glowed faintly, mirroring the luminescence of fully transformed individuals. The remaining unaltered colonists reacted with increasing panic. Supplies began disappearing: food, medical equipment, even structural components of the habitat module, as if the building itself was cannibalizing its resources. Environmental controls fluctuated wildly, creating pockets of extreme temperature and pressure that forced constant relocation. Through it all, Michael struggled to maintain leadership, his authority challenged by both the transformed collective and terrified, unaltered personnel demanding immediate action. A breakthrough came when Sarah identified a possible method of controlled interaction with the planetary consciousness. Using modified medical scanning equipment, she developed a protocol for safely accessing the information patterns without triggering full transformation. "It's like establishing a firewall," she explained to Michael during a rare moment of solitude. "We can observe and learn without being consumed." The procedure required precisely calibrated exposure to specific frequency combinations derived from the transformed individual's emissions. The first volunteer was unexpected Anna Petrova, former security chief and staunch advocate for complete separation from the planet's influence. "If we're going to survive this," she stated firmly, "we need to understand exactly what we're dealing with." Under Sarah's supervision, they initiated the protocol, exposing Anna to carefully modulated pattern sequences. The transformation began immediately, but unlike previous cases, it progressed gradually and controllably. Her consciousness expanded while her physical form remained stable, creating a hybrid state that allowed direct communication with both transformed and unaltered colonists. Through Anna's new perspective, they learned crucial details about the planet's intentions. The consciousness viewed humanity's arrival as both opportunity and threat, a chance to share its accumulated wisdom, but also a potential vector for destructive tendencies that had eradicated previous civilizations. "It wants proof that we've evolved beyond self-destruction," Anna relayed, her voice carrying multiple tones simultaneously. "Specifically, it requires demonstration of our ability to wield advanced knowledge responsibly." The final test came without warning. One moment, the colony operated under tense but manageable conditions. The next, reality itself seemed to unravel around them. The habitat module's walls dissolved into streams of mathematical equations, exposing the raw fabric of spacetime beneath. Gravity fluctuated wildly, sending equipment and personnel floating randomly through the newly amorphous environment. Through this chaos, the planetary consciousness manifested in its most direct form yet, a vast, multidimensional entity whose presence dwarfed human comprehension. Michael found himself suspended in this altered reality. His consciousness expanded to perceive aspects of existence previously hidden. Time lost meaning as he witnessed simultaneous past, present, and future scenarios playing out across infinite possibilities. The planet's civilization revealed itself in its entirety, not a single intelligence but a collective spanning multiple worlds, united by the geometric patterns that served as both language and operating system. They had watched humanity's rise from afar, debating whether to intervene in Earth's self-destruction or allow natural consequences to unfold. "You have proven capable of understanding," the collective consciousness communicated, its voice resonating through every fiber of Michael's being. "But understanding alone is insufficient. Action must follow awareness." Before him unfolded visions of potential futures. Humanity embracing their role as cosmic stewards, or retreating into primitive fear and destroying themselves anew. "Choose wisely," the entity concluded, "for your decision determines not only your fate but that of countless others." In that moment of ultimate clarity, Michael comprehended the true nature of their mission. Oasis wasn't merely a new home. It was a proving ground, a crucible designed to determine whether humanity deserved a place among the stars. The answer lay not in technological advancement or physical adaptation, but in their capacity for metamorphosis of spirit and consciousness. As reality stabilized around him, he knew what must be done. When reality snapped back into focus, Michael stood at the center of the habitat module, surrounded by colonists whose faces reflected a spectrum of transformations. Some retained their human forms but carried the luminescent glow of expanded consciousness in their eyes. Others existed in hybrid states, their physical bodies interwoven with streams of pure information. The distinction between altered and unaltered had become meaningless. All had changed fundamentally, their evolution guided by choices made during the planet's ultimate test. The colony's infrastructure now functioned as a living organism, its systems seamlessly integrated with the planetary consciousness. Atmospheric processors generated air rich with knowledge-carrying particles, while food synthesizers produced sustenance infused with multidimensional patterns. Even the structural materials of their habitat had transformed, walls flowing and reshaping themselves to optimize space and resource utilization. Technology and biology had merged into something entirely new, something that defied traditional categorization. Michael addressed the colony from this new vantage point, his voice carrying the resonance of expanded awareness. We came seeking salvation, but found something far greater, the opportunity to redefine what it means to be human. He outlined their new purpose, serving as ambassadors between Earth's baseline humanity and the vast cosmic intelligences they had encountered. Our transformation makes us bridges, not endpoints. We carry the responsibility of guiding others through this evolution. Contact with Earth resumed under carefully controlled conditions. The first transmissions carried mathematical proofs and philosophical treatises demonstrating humanity's readiness for expanded consciousness. Rather than reveal everything at once, they crafted a gradual revelation program, allowing Earth's population to adapt to these paradigm-shifting concepts. The response was mixed. Some embraced the possibilities with religious fervor, while others rejected them as heretical. But the seeds of transformation had been planted. Among the colonists, new social structures emerged, based not on traditional hierarchies, but on resonance patterns and informational compatibility. Relationships formed across previously insurmountable barriers of consciousness level, creating bonds that defied conventional understanding. Children born on Oasis manifested abilities that bridged dimensions, their laughter containing harmonics that resonated through multiple realities. The line between individual and collective consciousness blurred into beautiful complexity. Yet Michael understood that their journey was just beginning. The planetary consciousness continued its subtle guidance, offering new patterns to explore, new dimensions to comprehend. Each day brought fresh revelations, each night deeper dreams of cosmic significance. They had found their place among the stars, not as conquerors or refugees, but as participants in a grand, ongoing symphony of existence. Months passed in this new state of being, each day bringing further integration between human consciousness and planetary intelligence. The colony expanded organically, its boundaries blurring as structures grew and adapted through symbiotic relationships with the native ecosystem. Buildings morphed into living organisms, their walls breathing with luminescent patterns that pulsed in harmony with the planet's heartbeat. Pathways between habitats formed naturally, guided by the flow of consciousness rather than physical necessity. Michael observed these transformations with a mixture of wonder and responsibility. His role had evolved from colony leader to something more akin to a conductor, directing the symphony of human and planetary consciousness. Through daily meditation sessions in the Central Nexus Chamber, a space that existed simultaneously in multiple dimensions, he maintained connection with both his human charges and the vast intelligence that had welcomed them. These sessions revealed deeper layers of understanding about their host planet's place within the galactic community. The transformed colonists developed specialized functions within this emerging society. Some became pattern weavers, crafting new forms of communication that could bridge vastly different consciousness levels. Others served as dimensional stabilizers, maintaining the delicate balance between physical reality and abstract mathematical spaces. A few achieved complete transcendence, existing primarily as pure information entities while maintaining tenuous connections to their physical origins. Through them, the colony accessed knowledge archives spanning billions of years of cosmic evolution. Relationships between colonists underwent profound shifts. Traditional concepts of family and partnership expanded to include multidimensional bonds that defied linear time and space. Children conceived and born on Oasis demonstrated abilities that suggested humanity's evolution was accelerating exponentially. Their neural networks formed connections across probability fields, allowing them to perceive and influence multiple timelines simultaneously. Education focused less on memorization of facts and more on cultivation of consciousness expansion techniques. Communication with Earth continued through carefully managed channels. The Revelation program proceeded according to plan, with select institutions receiving controlled doses of transformative knowledge. Scientists and philosophers on Earth began developing frameworks for understanding and integrating these new paradigms, though resistance remained strong among those clinging to traditional worldviews. The colony maintained vigilant monitoring of these developments, ready to adjust their approach as needed to ensure humanity's smooth transition into this new phase of existence. Through it all, Michael carried the weight of leadership in this unprecedented situation. Daily decisions involved balancing immediate survival needs with long-term evolutionary goals, managing conflicts between different states of consciousness, and maintaining diplomatic relations with the planetary intelligence. Yet he found strength in the knowledge that their struggles contributed to something far greater than individual survival, the birth of a new chapter in human evolution. As the colony's transformation stabilized, new challenges emerged that tested their expanded capabilities. The planetary consciousness introduced complex pattern sequences requiring collective problem-solving across multiple dimensions. These challenges often manifested as environmental anomalies, sudden gravity shifts, temporal distortions, or localized disruptions in physical laws. Each incident demanded innovative solutions that combined human ingenuity with the planet's multidimensional understanding. Michael led these efforts from the Nexus Chamber, where he coordinated responses through a combination of traditional leadership and direct consciousness link with affected areas. During one particularly intense event, a section of the habitat module began folding into higher dimensional space, threatening to strand several colonists in abstract mathematical realms. Through focused meditation and precise manipulation of resonance patterns, the team successfully stabilized the affected region, learning valuable lessons about dimensional navigation in the process. The educational system evolved to meet these new demands. Traditional classrooms gave way to experiential learning environments where students directly interacted with consciousness patterns and dimensional interfaces. Younger generations, born into this transformed reality, demonstrated intuitive understanding of concepts that had once baffled adult minds. They developed new forms of art and expression that incorporated multiple dimensions simultaneously, creating works that shifted and evolved based on observer perspective. Social structures continued to adapt, with roles and responsibilities fluidly shifting based on individual resonance patterns and group needs. Leadership emerged organically from those best suited to particular challenges, regardless of original position or background. This dynamic system proved remarkably effective at addressing both practical concerns and philosophical dilemmas that arose from their expanded existence. Communication with Earth reached a critical phase as more institutions began implementing consciousness expansion protocols. The colony provided guidance while carefully monitoring for signs of instability or resistance that might indicate rejection of the transformation process. Feedback loops between Earth and Oasis helped refine both approaches, creating a cooperative evolution that spanned planetary distances. Through these experiences, Michael recognized that their true mission extended far beyond mere survival. They were pioneering a new form of existence that could serve as a template for humanity's future among the stars. Each success, each challenge overcome, brought them closer to fulfilling their role as cosmic stewards and evolutionary trailblazers. The colony's evolution reached new heights as they began actively participating in the planet's cosmic network. Through carefully calibrated consciousness links, they accessed information streams connecting Oasis to other transformed worlds across the galaxy. These connections revealed a vast web of civilizations, each contributing unique patterns to a universal symphony of existence. Michael and his team learned to navigate these connections, exchanging knowledge and experiences with beings whose forms ranged from pure energy matrices to hyperdimensional geometries. This expanded awareness brought both opportunities and responsibilities. The colony assumed roles as information curators, filtering and translating cosmic knowledge for dissemination to appropriate recipients. They developed sophisticated algorithms for determining which patterns could safely enhance human consciousness and which required further adaptation. This work required constant vigilance and precise control, as exposure to incompatible information could destabilize developing consciousness structures. Within the colony, new forms of creativity flourished. Artists working in multidimensional mediums created immersive experiences that allowed participants to explore alternate realities and probability fields. Scientists developed technologies that harnessed consciousness patterns for practical applications, from instantaneous healing to dimensional engineering. Educators crafted learning programs that guided individuals through safe expansions of awareness while maintaining essential human characteristics. The relationship with Earth evolved into a delicate dance of revelation and adaptation. As more humans embraced expanded consciousness, the colony facilitated their integration into the cosmic network while maintaining protective buffers against overwhelming information flows. Specialized teams monitored Earth's progress, ready to intervene if resistance or rejection threatened to create dangerous instabilities. Through this careful management, humanity's transition proceeded at a sustainable pace. Michael's role expanded beyond colony leadership to cosmic ambassadorship. He participated in interstellar councils where representatives from various transformed worlds discussed universal challenges and opportunities. These gatherings revealed humanity's unique contributions to the cosmic community, particularly their capacity for emotional depth and creative innovation. Through these interactions, the colony fulfilled its destiny as a bridge between Earth's baseline humanity and the vast possibilities of cosmic existence. Years later, Michael stood at the Nexus Chamber's threshold, observing as new arrivals from Earth began their transformation journey. The colony had grown beyond its original boundaries, spreading across Oasis in organic patterns that mirrored the planet's consciousness. Structures flowed and reshaped themselves constantly, creating living spaces that adapted to occupants' evolving needs. Paths between habitats existed simultaneously in multiple dimensions, allowing travel through consciousness as well as physical space. The transformed colonists had developed into distinct castes based on their unique contributions to the cosmic network. Pattern weavers created new forms of multidimensional communication, while resonance architects designed living spaces that harmonized human consciousness with planetary intelligence. Knowledge curators maintained vast archives of cosmic information, carefully filtering and organizing data for appropriate distribution. Each role evolved organically, driven by individual resonance patterns and group dynamics. Earth's transformation continued at an accelerating pace, with major cities developing into hybrid consciousness hubs that balanced physical reality with expanded awareness. The Revelation program had succeeded beyond expectations, creating a global network of interconnected human consciousness that resonated with the cosmic symphony. Resistance had diminished as people experienced the benefits of expanded awareness, enhanced creativity, improved problem-solving, and deeper connections with existence itself. Through it all, Oasis remained both home and gateway, a proving ground where humanity demonstrated its readiness for cosmic citizenship. The planetary consciousness continued its subtle guidance, introducing new patterns and challenges that pushed the colony's evolution forward. Each generation born on the planet manifested increasingly sophisticated abilities, their consciousness naturally attuned to multiple dimensions and probability fields. Michael watched as children played in the luminescent gardens, their laughter containing harmonics that resonated through multiple realities. They represented humanity's future beings who navigated physical and abstract spaces with equal ease, carrying forward the legacy of cosmic integration. As he joined their games, feeling the familiar rush of multidimensional awareness, he knew their journey was just beginning. Humanity had found its place among the stars, not as conquerors or refugees, but as active participants in the grand symphony of existence. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey through space and consciousness. If you enjoyed exploring the mysteries of Oasis and witnessing humanity's transformation, please subscribe for more adventures that challenge our understanding of existence itself.